Hi, welcome to Crook County Foundation's What's Brewing online edition. My name's Brandy Ebner, and I'm the executive director of our program. And I'm excited today to be joined with representatives from CASA of Central Oregon. So I've got Heather Dion, who is the executive director, and Debbie Bircher, who is the program director. And they're going to tell us a little bit more about what CASA is as a program and how you, as a Crook County resident, could get involved and support the program. So hi, ladies. Thanks for jumping on.
Hi, Brandy. We're really happy to be here today.
So start off by telling us, what is CASA? What does it stand for?
CASA stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocates, and court-appointed special advocates are volunteers. We say they're ordinary volunteers who do extraordinary things for children in foster care. So they are, excuse me, your community member who decides to participate in a training process and a background check, and then is sworn in as an officer of the court to advocate for children in foster care.
And so why would a child need an advocate?
So when a child comes into foster care, they're in foster care because obviously they're not safe at home. And so the state has taken custody of them. And I often say that a child in foster care is like a child between a rock and a hard place. So they're outside of their home, which has been found to be dangerous, but foster care can be a very challenging place for a child. In Central Oregon, a child will be in care an average of 2 years, will have 4 different caseworkers and live in 3 different foster homes. And our organization makes it our job so that that child has one consistent advocate, so that they have one adult who gets to know them and can speak for them in the courtroom in the community during their time in foster care.
So do you have an idea of how many kids that we have in Crook County who are currently with a CASA advocate or are in need of one?
I can say in 2020, all across Central Oregon, there were 427 children in foster care, and 365 of those children were served with an advocate. In Crook County, that looked like 88% of children had an advocate, which was 58 total children. Right now, at this moment, on February 2nd, we are serving 91% of children in Crook County with an advocate. So 30 children in foster care in Crook County have advocates, but 3 children are currently waiting for advocates. Of course, that number changes constantly as children come in and out of care. So I can say that our goal is to serve 100% of children with a CASA advocate, and we would love for that to happen in Crook County.
Definitely. So Debbie, you're the program director. Tell us a little bit about what your role is with CASA.
So my role is supporting the program staff who are there to support the advocates in advocating for the children. So whatever that looks like, meeting with community partners, discussing court reports, case specifics, just really being there to support the advocate, the volunteers to support these kids.
That's great. So if somebody wants to become an advocate, what you mentioned training. So what does the process kind of look like, and what does it entail once you become one? Obviously every case is different, but what's kind of some commonalities around it?
You want to take that, Debbie?
Sure. So we have a pre-service training where the advocates meet once a week for 8 to 9 weeks, depending on calendars. It's a 40-hour training. It's pretty intensive. They will be meeting with the judge. They do a pre-service interview with the judges before they're sworn in. And then at the end of that training, then they meet with the program staff. We go through an interview process too, to make sure that we're matching the volunteers with a kid or sibling set, whichever their preference is. Mm-hmm. That's gonna, sorry, I'm stumbling on my words.
It's okay, no problem, you're doing good.
That best matches what the advocate's looking for. Mm-hmm. So we try to match the children with the advocate and the advocate with the children.
So if you become an advocate, what kind of time does it require? Are you going to a lot of potentially court cases during the day, or is it something that you spend more time with the kids to learn about them in off hours?
We typically tell people that it's an average of 10 hours a month of a volunteer commitment, but it depends so much on the month. And honestly, it's a pretty above and beyond volunteer role. Once you get to know that kiddo, it's about staying and being that consistent person in that child's life. So it's visiting that child at least once a month. It's attending meetings on behalf of that child. Anytime there's a court hearing, it's fairly flexible volunteer role. You can meet with the child on off hours, but then when there's things like court hearings, that can be during the day.
So it's really important if a business in town wants to be able to support CASA, one of the best things they could do is allow their employees the ability to volunteer when they need to and really be able to advocate for that student.
Yes, absolutely. Some of our volunteers are retired, which is wonderful, but many of them, they are working professionals. And so if their business or employer gives them the option to, take that time off on a Monday afternoon to attend a court hearing or to attend a meeting, that is absolutely huge in their ability to volunteer and then make a difference for a kiddo.
That's awesome. So hopefully we get some more folks to step up, since you've got at least 3 kiddos in town who could definitely use an advocate. And that number, like you said, changes all the time. So I'm sure there's probably ability to be on a waiting list if there's not a kiddo available. You guys would love to have some folks trained up and ready to go in so you can get someone matched up as quickly as possible. So are there, if someone is an advocate beyond time, is there other commitments? Is there a financial commitment to working with the kiddo and doing things fun with them too to get to know them, or how does that part work?
There's not a financial commitment. It really is, kiddos know when somebody cares about them. And so if this caring adult keeps consistently showing up, showing interest in them, asking them about, it's not about the gifts, it's not about the activities, it's just about being a caring adult. And children know when an adult cares about them. And so if people are interested in volunteering, we currently have 7 volunteers from Crook County, which is wonderful, but we would love to have more. And so if people are interested in volunteering, our next training starts in April. So they should sign up now to get in on that training.
That's not too far away.
It is not far away.
April's a long time, and it's not. So how is CASA funded? And I'm assuming you guys are a nonprofit. How are you guys funded? Is there opportunity for folks to financially support the programs as well?
There is absolutely opportunity. So our organization, we are state mandated. The state requires that every child in foster care receives a CASA, a court-appointed special advocate. And that's because children who have a CASA just fare better during their time in foster care. And however, we are only funded at about, if we were to rely on state funding, we could only serve about 10% of the children who are currently in care. So we're funded to serve, so we're mandated to serve 100%, but only funded by the state to serve 10%. So I think that is an opportunity, because that means that our community, residents in Crook County, businesses in Crook County, and all over Central Oregon is taking care of our children. And so we receive about 1/3 of our revenue from local donations, local individuals, and then an additional amount from private foundations. So that is wonderful.
And how has the whole pandemic affected CASA? Is it been harder for especially the advocates to be able to be kind of one-on-one with the kids and such, or do you just have to have, I'm sure for a while there was not in-person visits, but how has that kind of changed the way you guys have had to run the program?
Well, there's been opportunities. So for example, we moved our training online, and we found that is much easier for people to participate in an online Zoom training as opposed to having to drive in to do a training. So that's been an opportunity, because we're getting more volunteers. So that is wonderful. As far as connecting with kiddos, there was a time when it was all being done over Zoom and virtual, and there is still some of that, but there's also outdoor socially distanced visits that we're definitely, advocacy is continuing. And then advocates are still speaking for kiddos in court and in meetings. It just looks like Zoom and WebEx and phone calls, like we're all getting used to. But I say that the meetings are virtual, but the advocacy is real.
That's a really good point. And I know with technology and things nowadays, you don't feel like you've lost touch. I've talked to people saying, man, if this pandemic hit 20 years ago, we'd all feel lost. There'd be a lot of these programs that wouldn't be able to continue. So we're fortunate that we're in a day of technology where those advocates and can be able to communicate with the student or the kids, and also the courts and things too. So
absolutely. And I would say our advocates are more important than ever, because families and children are isolated. They're not going to schools. And so having that consistent adult with eyes on kids, that consistent caring adult, is more important than ever for children.
Well, I'm glad that you guys have such a great program here, and you've got such a high percentage. Hopefully we'll be able to find those remaining 3 kiddos an advocate soon and get some other folks trained up and ready to go. Is there any other information you'd like people to know about CASA and the program here in Crook County?
No, I don't think so. Just that we are so grateful for Crook County's support, and that we are just looking for more advocates and more ways that folks can get involved with CASA, whether that's volunteering, whether that's serving on our board, whether that's if they don't have the time or the interest in volunteering right now, if that's sponsoring a volunteer through financial donations, it's an opportunity to take care of, truly our community's most vulnerable children.
Yeah. And how can they get more information about that? What's the best resource to provide?
They can go to casaofcentraloregon.org.
Perfect. And then they can connect up with you and get more information about trainings and programs that way. So, well, ladies, Debbie and Heather, thank you so much for coming on. And I appreciate learning more about CASA. Hopefully there's quite a few viewers of this who have learned more and will be jumping on your website, casaofcentraloregon.org. And we'll be connecting with you again later and hopefully hearing that there's 100% advocates for our kids here in town.
Yeah, let's do it. Thank you so much, Brandy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brandy.
Bye.